We are at UCLA on 6/29/2015. It's again a beautiful day in Los Angeles, sunny. Eat your heart out, East Coast. We're about to hear a respect speech from Matthew, who stands before you. Unclasp your hands. He's doing the 7 steps. He's looking around. He's managing attention. Tao is doing some reading, so you'll have to clear your voice for her. He's communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Oh yeah, you should close your laptop. Thank you. Yes. So we're full attention and phones away. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about respect. So just the other day, I was walking down Bruin Walk for the first time this summer. And as I walked down the road, I couldn't help but notice how beautiful the beams looked on Poly Pavilion, or how excited and energetic the children looked as they ran around the soccer field. Indeed, this place felt like home already. It's the aesthetic value and creativity, the spirit, the collaboration that really draws in people just like me and helps us connect to this place. It's these elements that only humans can comprehend, yet humans from all cultures and backgrounds can connect to and relate to. And therefore, I propose that humans have a natural desire to be connected, and that's what makes us human. Again, humans have a natural desire to be connected, and that's what makes us human. Last week, I conducted a social experiment where I was to non-verbally communicate respect to everyone I met. The results of this experiment can be summarized in 3 short stories, which represent the good, the bad, and the ugly of what can happen when you show respect to others. So first of all, I'm going to start with the good. Right now, I'm living in the residence halls, and on move-in day, I arrived late because my flight was delayed. And as a result, I missed the mandatory floor meeting that took place earlier in the evening. In an attempt to make amends, I visited my RA's room and I knocked on it several times during the evening so that I could introduce myself to him, and his name was Ganiv, by the way. However, I never found Ganiv inside his room, and that made me a little bit disappointed, but also, honestly, I felt a little doubtful of my RA's ability to perform his functions. In fact, it wasn't until the following evening at the floor dinner that I finally caught sight of him. And as I shook his hand, I decided, you know what, I'm going to set aside all reservations I've imagined about him. And instead, I'm going to repeat the mantra in my head: I respect you. And so, the result of that, I was pleasantly surprised. For later that evening, when I passed him in the hallways, he greeted me by name. And this is significant because there's over 80 people on the floor, yet he had already remembered my name. And so, because we demonstrated mutual respect to each other, then a human connection was formed. However, it doesn't always turn out good. Sometimes the situation turns out bad. I was sitting at an outdoor dining area and I was working on my laptop when I saw a man approaching my table and passing through. In the spirit of the exercise, I looked up from my laptop, I made eye contact with him, and I smiled. However, he was panicked for all of a sudden. Once he realized that I was looking at him for longer than a glimpse, he became panicked. And he looked down at his clothes. He was trying to figure out what it was I was smiling at. When he was convinced that there was nothing, he then became suspicious of me, and he increased his pace and stared at me out of the corner of his eye. And so, in essence, I was misunderstood, and as a result, I was ignored. However, sometimes it gets worse than that. Sometimes it simply gets ugly. I was at my residence hall again, and I was trying to figure out just how to use the elevator. I saw that there was a card swiper, so I took out my Bruin card and I tried to swipe it in the card reader, but nothing happened. That was when a student approached me from behind, and he said, "Swiping is not necessary." I turned around and I looked at it. I made eye contact with him and I nodded in acknowledgement. And I repeated in my head, "I respect you." I turned back to the elevator and I saw that there was an up button. So I pushed the up button, but the light on the button didn't light up. I was like, what's up with this? I jabbed it a few more times and still nothing happened. And he said, "That is not necessary, the elevator's coming already." And so I remained calm and I continued to say, "I respect you," in my head. However, when the elevator came, I was just simply embarrassed. And in fact, I had to share the elevator, or should I say prison, with this condescending student who was so impatient with me. In the end, the result was that because I was demonstrating respect and repeating the mantra in my head, I did not verbally communicate with this guy. And so as a result, he may have misinterpreted my silence as ignorance or stupidity. And that's why I felt embarrassed. However, on the flip side of that coin, because I was not communicating, then that prevented me from retaliating or expressing my annoyance to him. So in a sense, by repeating the mantra in my head, I might have kept myself out of trouble. So in the end, I believe that respect benefits, or what I learned is that respect benefits anyone who chooses to use it. If I demonstrate respect but someone else does not, it doesn't matter, because as long as I keep a positive outlook on life and remain optimistic, everything's going to be okay. But when I demonstrate respect and that is reciprocated by another person, that is when the magic happens, because that is when human connections can occur. In the end, humans have a natural desire to make connections with others, and that is what makes us human. When we demonstrate respect to others, sometimes we are ignored, such as with my outdoor dining area example, or we may be misunderstood, such as with my elevator situation. But as demonstrated by my relationship between Ganeve and I, sometimes it may turn out great, and sometimes a human connection can develop. Ultimately, humans have a desire to be accepted and to be included in everything they do, and that's why they make connections all the time. And that is what makes the human race special. Because we're trying to make connections all the time, we are trying to share information, and over generations, our population increases in knowledge. And so, as I walk down Bruin Walk, I'm reminded as to why UCLA is such an optimal place for a student to be. It's not only an excellent place to grow intellectually, but it is a place where we can learn what it means to be human through the connections that we make with each other. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Here, let's start in the front row here with Tao. Tao, stand up and tell us what you liked about Matthew's speech. And Matthew, remember to stay behind the, right. You can stand in the square, but don't come beyond those first two. Yeah, because your head was cut off.
Oh.
And I can't. I hate this classroom. I've asked for another one, but where the chairs move and we can get in circles and stuff. But for now, we're stuck with this. So stay there. Don't come forward beyond that. Okay, Tao.
Yeah.
Tell Matthew what you liked.
I like his structure, very easy to follow.
Yes.
And the whole structure is very attract the audience. And especially the opening and the ending. Like especially the ending related to how well we use it to be connected to the human connection. And also related to his topic and experience. So yeah, I like this.
Yeah, there was a good intro and tie back that was identical, so he came the full circle, didn't he? And it made beautiful sense, and it hung together. Thank you, Tao, for noticing that.
Yeah,
Did you want to say something else?
Yeah, and also his eye contact, very good, and also like stand at 3 different points.
He moved, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You were perfect, Matthew. How can he improve?
Hi, my name is Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
I think you did a good job, but like maybe when you walk the points of class, maybe don't stand there for as long as you did. But I don't know, you did a good job.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I wrote down that you walked a little too far to the left and to the right. And when you walk so far to the left and to the right, you really leave out that other side unless you glance back over. So I would say a step or two less to the right, a step or two less to the left. But you did come back to center and you were walking. Let me start with the positive. This was just a beautifully done speech, performed and done extemporaneously, extremely thoughtful and articulate. you gave a compliment to UCLA and to its diversity and to its beautiful campus and to the people humming around doing their thing. Even the people on the soccer field were having a ball. So that was a good opening image. Your preview of I Respect You and your social experiment preview was well done. What was the time on this?
6:10.
Yeah, it was a little long, so we wanted to keep it 3 to 5. So work on your word economy and try to edit this a little bit. Your first story about the good was a good story. You expressed your disappointment in not finding, what was his name, Genevieve or something? What is it?
Ganeve.
Ganeve, yes. Ganeve, and then you finally found Ganeve. And you worked your magic with Ganeve, and he remembered your name, as people will, when they sense that you're respecting them and you give them a respectful vibration, and it's sincere. It's not just manipulative, So that was a good story. And did you notice he had a little moral at the end of it? He kind of summed up what it meant and what he got from that first encounter. On your second story, there was a man coming toward your table, and you smiled and said, I respected you, and you freaked him out. And yes, I warned you that there's two things that will happen. It'll be something like this, or you'll be ignored. Did you find that sometimes when you were saying your mantra and saying, as you walked along, I respect you, people didn't even acknowledge you or look back? That's part of doing the exercise of learning to get in the habit of always saying I respect you, even when you're ignored, even when the guy is saying, is my zipper down, or what's wrong with me, but I can see why you thought it was kind of a bad encounter. So that was a good story. On your the ugly was your embarrassment at not knowing that the elevator lights didn't light up and that you didn't need to swipe as you had to at hotels and every other place you've been. And so, and the guy wasn't very gracious, and he sounded like he was rather abrupt in telling you the facts of life. And I think that this is when the I respect you really kicks in, because you got to get a thick skin. I know you're a sensitive guy, but this is a tough world out there, especially in Los Angeles. Where do you get in a car? Yeah. Your overall, I like the way you did your summary, a way you did a backward summary where you went from the most recent to the first thing you did, you presented it last, and that was excellent. And your tie back was good. My only big concern really was just the time and how far you walked. But you're very articulate, and you did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have more volunteers, or do I need to call on people? Who's left? Oh, I need to call. You're left? Okay, good. Come on down. Try to stay behind those first two squares. Yeah, it'll be good. You're a little taller, so let me adjust the camera. Yeah. Good. Do I have your outline?
Oh, yeah.
Is this it? Yeah. Introduction speech. No, that's not it.
It's 3 pages.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, we're going to do it pedantically until you all get it. You can take a step forward. It looks like you're kind of hiding from the audience when you're right against the wall. So don't ever be right against the wall. He's managing attention, looking around the room, making sure everyone's looking up. He's communicating respect nonverbally. He's in the power stance. He's finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Today my topic is about showing respect non-verbally. So I did a bit of research. It shows that spoken language is only made up 35% of communication, but most of our feelings and intentions can be sent through non-verbal languages. So also when the verbal languages are not clear, we tend to search for the non-verbal signals. So there are some good gesture to showing respect, like a simple smile, nodding, or good eye contact can show your respect to others non-verbally. But there are also some bad gestures, like when you are in a conversation, you folding your arms may showing that you're not interested or you're not open to what other people say. So that is some bad examples. So in last few days, I have applied all those positive ways to show my respect to others non-verbally. So I have good story, bad story, and also ugly story. I'm going to start with a good one because I'm new to UCLA. At that time, I didn't have a green card yet, so at that day, I followed my roommate to the dining hall. So I was stopped by the staff. So she suggested me to get a meal ticket because I didn't have a green card at that time. But it turns out that the meal ticket is too expensive. So I was trying to get back to the dining hall and then told my roommate that I'm going elsewhere because at that time I didn't have his number either. So I was trying to get back, but I was stopped by the staff. She told me that I definitely cannot go in without a green card. So at that moment, I decided to show my respect. I made good eye contact and I kept a smile and told her that I only need 2 minutes. I only need 2 minutes to find my roommate and told him I'm going elsewhere. So he will not be waiting for me. So, but the staff still looked very serious and even more a bit of suspicious. So, but finally she agreed to escort me to went back inside the dining hall to try to find my friends. You know that I can read her expressions, that when you put people into the difficult situation, troublesome situation, they will have that kind of look. So that is what she looked like at that time. So. So I finally found my roommate, and then I went outside of dining hall. But at that time, I decided to show my respect again. I made good eye contact, and I told her that thanks for your help. But it turns out to be a very good ending because she smiled back to me. It feels very sincerely. So I was surprised how the respect worked out so well. So that is my good story.
Good.
About the bad story, it's with me and my roommate. So my roommate is quite type of person. So we didn't talk much at the beginning, but I decided to initiate a conversation to get to know about him because we are roommates. We're going to spend two months together. So I start to make good eye contact. I asked him how was his days, how was it going on with his study, but he didn't reply that much. So he just replied fine, and our conversations keep cutting off. So I kind of feel bad. So that was my bad story. About the ugly one, it was when one day I was trying to find my classroom. I found a guy sitting on the stairs, and he was on his phone, and I feel like he was staring at me because I was lost. So I happened to walk past him twice. So at the second time, I still found that he was staring at me. So I decided to show my respect to him. I decided to nod at him and I'm verbally saying hello, but he looked very surprised, and he even gave me a very intimidating look. So that kind of scared me. So that was my ugly story. I actually those bad and ugly stories. I believe that people have different characters, and sometimes they are in different moods. So I don't really upset by those kind of situations. So to sum up, I think like the human relationship is like a circle. When how you treated others, they will treat it the same way back to you. So sometimes when you give bad attitude towards others, it's like you point out a spike to them. But so eventually they will reverse that spike and point back to you and hurt you. So I think it's very important to show respect, and even more important during a speech. When you show good respect to the audience will feel that you are genuine, and they will. And then when the audience give back their respect to you, you will feel more encouraged to carry on your speech. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, I think we have one more in the front row here before we go to the next row.
All right. Hi, my name is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. Joseph, what I liked about your speech was I really liked your introduction and how you talked about like the statistics about like a certain percent of communication is nonverbal, and how like crossing your arms is like discourages communication and stuff. And I thought that was really thoughtful to put in that research into this speech.
Yeah, it was good. It was a sort of an observational thing about nonverbal and what we could do to communicate respect nonverbally. How can he improve?
Hi, I'm Hans.
Hi, Hans.
I think you can improve by increase the speed of speaking, so you don't feel like cannot keep up with what you're going to say.
Okay. Joseph, you started off with kind of what I would call a definitional thing of communication and an arresting fact, and you wanted everyone to be amazed by the idea that only 35% of communication is attained through the spoken language. That would leave 65%, right, through the paralinguistic, through the voice and through the nonverbal gestures, right? And I think that that was interesting for everyone. I would have liked to have seen, as other students have done, a tie back to the end and mention it again in the end and say something like, so remember, that nonverbal communication is the most dominant type of communication, so it's best to practice it. It's 65%, and so it's best to learn how to communicate respect and use that statistic at the end, okay? Your definition went further, and I like the idea of the folding arms, of being kind of closed to open communication. The other one that you can, could you stand up next to Joseph for a minute in the front of the classroom there? And also, I want everyone to see this on camera. Face each other and get in. Now Joseph, step back there so you're in camera range. Yeah, and you step a step forward. Yeah. Okay, and just talk to each other. Wow. Yeah, talk to each other.
Hi, where are you from?
What was your answer?
China.
Okay, that's a big country. Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong.
It's southeast part.
Southeast.
Located at the coast side.
When did you move here?
Last week. I had been to America, I think 5 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Now ask her something. Ask her something, Joseph.
What do you study?
Just this class right now. I'm still in high school.
Okay, I see. So you're going to graduate soon?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a senior next year.
Great. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to turn and face the front, and you continue to face her. And now try to carry on a conversation with her. Yes.
For myself, I'm going to graduate soon. I think I only have 1 year left.
Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
What do you want to be? What job do you want to take in life?
I don't really think about it right now, but I'm looking forward to work for a magazine. I want to write columns.
So a writer in the media.
Right. Yes.
Okay, ask her something.
Do you like movies?
Yes.
Now-
like movies a lot.
You like movies a lot. Okay. Now, one of the things I'm trying to show you is the other big thing about nonverbal is orientation. And if someone is facing you straight on, they're really talking to you. And if you observe down in campus and look around at different groupings of people, you'll sometimes see at parties and other things that when people don't really want to talk to you, they face away from you, like they'll just give you a side glance and talk to you sideways. And they're telling you, I'm ready to move on. Did you feel the difference, Joseph, when you were talking, when she was facing us, facing front? It was a little less intimate, a little less compelling. Yeah, that's another element of the nonverbal. Now, if she was facing away from you and she crossed her arms, could you do that? That's even that's even tougher. She's really closed up now, isn't she? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for demonstrating. You can have a seat. Let me say a little bit more. So you had a pretty good preview of what was going to come, and so that was fine. Your story. What was the time on this one, by the way?
7:01.
Yeah, you're supposed to have been 5 minutes, and so your pace was too slow. But I realize that you're working with English as a second language or a third language, right? So I understand, but work on that and work on word economy. But you were clear; we understood you, and that was good. On the your first story, I think that. It was a little long, but we got the idea that she didn't trust you and that she had to go in with you to tell your friend that you weren't going to buy a meal ticket and you were going elsewhere. But it had a happy ending, and that was so that made it good. And so what I didn't get clear was you thanked her for your help, and was that your way of being respectful?
I was just trying to be nice.
Yes.
say
But what I mean is, what we're trying to do is, when we're in these kinds of stressful situations, that's when we say the mantra silently, I respect you, to the girl, as we've heard other people say they've done, see? And, right? And it creates a better relationship between the people. On the bad, were you non-verbally saying to your roommate, I respect you, when you were trying to talk to him, or were you just trying to talk to him?
both.
Both? And it didn't work. Maybe he's just really shy, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. On the ugly, yeah, I think that people on the phone, I don't know what the explanation was, but I warned you that, people would either ignore you or misinterpret your look, and that shouldn't dissuade you from still saying the mantra and saying, I respect you. It doesn't have to be a long stare or a long happy smile. It can just be a short, I respect you, and walk by. Right? Your summary and your conclusion was good. The only other suggestion I have for you, Joseph, is I want to see you move 3 times next time, okay? Move, get out of your, undo your arms, let them be by your side, and move 3 times during the good, the bad, come back to center for the ugly. Okay? You did a nice job. You got it done. Thank you. Okay, who's next?
Professor, can I go?
Yeah, you can go. Absolutely. Hi, how you doing? Okay, Sharon, let me get you in the picture. You can come to the front of the, yeah. You can come, you're fine. Yeah, you can come to the front of the square. Sharon stands before you in the power stance, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally to everyone in the room, saying to herself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hello, I'm Sharon. So, according to the Webster Dictionary, respect means to show regard, consideration, and courtesy to others. So, decades ago, respect was more evident in our society. It was reflected in books, literature, and movies. So, we have become more self-serving, demanding, and outright rude. Today in our society, respect has been slowly declining and becoming less of a natural habit. So there are many encounters with being non-verbally respectful, and I encountered a good encounter, and it happened when I was carrying a case up to Weber Hall. And I noticed there were 2 people standing at the entrance. I was hoping they had their Bruin card, so I didn't have to put down my case that I was carrying. And it turns out that they didn't have the Bruin card, so I had to approach them and do a respectful nod, and put down my case and scan my card and let them go in first. So I had to pick up my case, head to the elevator, and the guy approached me that I encountered previously. He asked me if I needed help, and that was a really nice surprise, a pleasant surprise, because I didn't expect my favor to get returned. So he helped me carry the case up to my floor dorm, and I said thank you. My bad encounter was, it happened quite often. I was walking to and from classroom, and I made an effort to smile at people, but I noticed that my smiles were being ignored, and I felt really sad and kind of like lonely because these people had their headphones in and they were in their own world. So these people don't realize that they're being mindless and ignorant. But I didn't have a rude encounter in LA, but some encounters back home So I had my driving permit, and I was driving, and I noticed that this guy stopped hastily at an intersection. And I was like, okay, I'll just let him go first. So I gave him a respectful nod, and I gestured him to go first. But without acknowledgement, he just sped off to his destination. So that just made me feel hurt, sort of, because why let people go first if they won't like acknowledge you or show gratitude? But in conclusion, this experiment was really good because it helped me understand that it takes little effort to show respect non-verbally, but you have to prepare for people's response because it may be good and it may be bad and it may be ugly. So hopefully we can reintroduce respect to our society. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're in this row now. I believe we're here. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Bonnie.
Hi, Ani.
It's Bonnie.
Oh, Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie.
So I really like it, that you're really articulate in your speech, and then your structure is very clear, and your body language is very suggestive, and it kind of goes along with your speech.
Thank you, Bonnie. Improvement?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
And one of the things I was gonna say that I noticed I do a lot too is you use the filler word a lot.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it because I do the exact same thing, so just be aware of that.
Thank you, Nikki. Sharon, you chose to start, as many students do when they're unfamiliar with the concept, with the definition, which is okay. It helps you, it helps the audience know what we're all talking about. It's what I call gets us all in the same semantic space, which was fine. It's not exactly a great grabber. It's not exactly titillating. It doesn't exactly make us want to listen to a great speech, but it's adequate. It's good. But you could have combined a definition with a story, a poem, a quote, too, as well. So be aware the definitions rarely alone in and of themselves will be enough to grab your audience and draw definition to define or define. I know what respect. Well, maybe people don't know, but it was good for us and you to hear that it's a regard or consideration. And I like your observation and commentary that respect is diminishing in our society. I happen to agree with you, which is why I do this exercise in all my classes, because I want to remind my students, I agree with this gentleman that I think that human beings do crave to be respected, and I think that if we give people what they crave and want, we will be successful too. Now, when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that your thesis preview wasn't really very prominent. And I needed to hear you say something like this, Sharon. I did an experiment where I went for 48 hours and tried to communicate respect nonverbally to everyone I meet. Today I'm going to tell you about, in my speech, I'm going to tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly in a very clear voice like that makes a pact with the audience and says, this is what I'm going to do, and they know what to expect, see? So kind of what happened after your observation about how rude everyone's become is you just launched into your first experience. We can follow you, don't get me wrong, but it's better to have a little preview. Now, on your first story, it was a good story. You couldn't get into Reber Hall with all your water, and then someone came up and helped carry your case, and you said thank you so much, and the person was pleasantly surprised, and you were pleasantly surprised too. And that was a good first story. On your second story about the bad encounter, Yeah, I warned you, right? That most people are going to ignore you when not just smiling, but saying the mantra. You don't have to smile. You can just not. You don't even nod your head, but say the mantra. People won't get the vibe from you that you're being respectful, but some people will. But the reason to repeat it a lot is for you to get in the habit. And the more you repeat it, then it will become a habit of mine, and that's what I'm after. Finally, on your third story about driving, you were upset because you gave someone else the right of way and he basically flipped you the bird or just went through the signal and didn't acknowledge your kindness. Welcome to LA, hello. And if there's one place that we need respect is the way people drive in Los Angeles. Cutting people off, and you put your turn signal on, people speed up. It's wow. It can be crazy out here. And then the final thing I want you to do is I like to see more of a verbal narrative coming from you as you're going through your speech. So as you're going through, you're saying, so let me first tell you about the good. That was the good. Now, let me tell you about the bad. But it got ugly. Driving story. And then finally, the last thing I asked you to do was to say, so what I learned. And so it would sound something like, so folks, in the form of a question. So, what did I learn in all this mishmash of doing this for 48 hours? Well, I learned 3 things. And say you're big. And so what you learned was good. But if you had a more verbal narrative voice that helped us follow where you were and where you were going, you would have been easier to follow, see? And that's what we want to be able to do. Because in the oral medium, we can't reread something. We got to be able to, follow as it's going along. You did tie back to your concept of the rude society, and hopefully the habit will be reintroduced into our society. So you did have a tie back, so that was good. So you did a nice job. The final thing I'd suggest is, were you, 2 things. Were you afraid to move, or did you forget to move, or did you want to move, or what's the dealio?
I think I was a bit nervous.
Nervous? So next time you'll remember to move. Sharon and the rest of you need to practice moving when you're at home during your speech, because if you don't move at home, you won't remember to move here. The second thing is, if you have a bad habit of saying or like a lot, then tell your mother, brother, lover, sister, homeless guy that's listening to your speech, raise their hand whenever you do an because you're doing it, it's unconscious. You're not so aware that you're doing it so much. And when they raise their hand, this will help you become aware of when the ums are occurring. You can count them tonight on YouTube, right? But that's a trick I found helps get rid of them. Overall, Sharon, you did a nice job, except for those 2 things you could work on. Thank you. Okay, next. Well, yeah, what was the time? 2:54. A little light, huh, Sharon? Kind of rushed through it. Yes, you can. She stands before you in the power. Oh, one thing, yeah. You're wearing ill-fitting clothes. So either take your sweatshirt off or roll your sleeves up. Because your hands are good gesture items, and if your long-fitting sweatshirt hides your hands, you're going to be less effective. Okay, you're a little taller, so I'm going to have to adjust the camera. You can come into the box, but don't come in front of the box, okay? Jenny is standing before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself, I respect my audience, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, saying your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
I am Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
So a saying I've always heard growing up is treat everyone the way you want to be treated. And it's something I really believed in. Through this experiment during the past few days, I was actually able to practice it and make sure I am treating people with respect that I want to have back towards me. And through this experiment, I've gotten the good, the bad, and the ugly. So starting off, I'm going to tell you guys about the good. Generally, people would smile back at me or give me a slight nod, but one that was really memorable to me was during my first day at volunteering at the Ronald Reagan Center. A nurse was walking by, and I smiled at her and I repeated the mantra, I respect you. She smiled back and she continued walking, but instead of walking away, she came up towards me. She said hi and welcomed me to the neuro department, and she greeted herself. She said, hi, I'm Amanda, nice to meet you. And she offered me some candy, which I gladly accepted. And then just through that little gesture, it made my day so much brighter, and I learned that something so small can make a big difference. As for the bad, usually people just looked at me really weird and kind of directed their eyes somewhere else. But something that I remembered was also during my first day volunteering, I was sitting down and there was a worker that was supposed to help me and show me what to do at the front desk. And I was saying hi, I repeated the mantra, I respect you. And she kind of looked at me weird, but she started introducing herself, but her phone rang. And she kind of just cut herself off and she answered it. I kind of expected her to pause and kind of say, oh, we need to take this call, it's important. But she just sat down and she talked to her friend for the next 10 to 20, 30 minutes. And I just stood there like, what do I do? And I realized that even though I give respect and I expect respect back, doesn't necessarily mean I'll always give respect. As for the ugly, also during my day volunteering, a nurse came up to me and she asked me to help and talk to a patient that was really agitated because she wasn't getting the help and she wasn't getting a response from a nurse. So I walked up to the patient and I said hi. I looked at her in the eye and I said the mantra. I guess I looked at her a little too long and she started saying, are you crazy? Why are you looking at me like that? And she started to go off on a tangent about how the hospital shouldn't have volunteers because we don't necessarily know what we're doing. Obviously that made me feel really bad and I kept repeating it. I respect you, so I wouldn't treat her badly. And I realized that I don't know how she was already agitated to begin with and she wasn't getting the help she wanted. And she was also a neuro patient, so her state of mind wasn't really clear. Through this experience, I learned that even though you don't get the respect you necessarily want, doesn't mean you should treat them badly in response because you don't know their situation. They might have had a bad day or someone was treating them really bad. Through this whole couple of few days, I really enjoyed the experiment because I actually was accountable for treating people the way I want to be treated. And I realized, and although there are situations where I wanted to treat them how they were treating me, I realized that I should do practice what I believe in and continue to treat others the way I want to be treated.
Good. Thank you. Okay, where are we? Here, yes, please.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
I thought your instruction was really well spoken, and I thought that you moving 3 times followed the professor's lecture.
Improvement? Start with your name.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
First, I want to say you did a good job. Maybe a bit more eye contact.
Okay.
You're looking away.
Thank you. And Jenny, just to stay on that point for a moment, we want to practice making contact for 3 to 5 seconds. And that's quite a long time, and we don't want to just do it systematically, but all around the room. And when we move to the left, we work this side of the room, but still glance over there so we don't lose that side of the room, and we really work it well. You started with the golden rule, and you ended with it, so that was a very nice bookended thing that you did, and it all hung together nicely. Your thesis preview was there. We knew that you were going to tell us about the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we knew what to expect. On your first example or story of the good, you practiced saying the mantra, and the woman, the nurse or whoever she was, picked up the good vibration, to use Brian Wilson's famous song from the Beach Boys. I just saw the movie about his life. It's a rather extraordinary movie if anyone's interested. And she picked up your good vibrations, and she gave you some candy. And I know she said sharing the diabetes. Yeah. That was a cute line. And and then you had a little moral to the story. You notice you had a little moral at the end. I learned that by showing a little respect, you can meet new people and get positive reactions from people. So that was good. Then you had a good transition saying, but not all was good. Some were bad. So that was a good transition, a smooth transition between the good and the bad. And this person that took the phone call for 20 minutes, cell phones have become, in restaurants and become, in classes, everywhere. If someone's talking to you and texting, they're not talking to you. And, you need to just say, put the effing phone away, and talk to me. One of our alum, a 91-year-old woman that debated for UCLA a long time ago, told us that when her children come to her house, she makes them leave the cell phones in the entry, and they're all almost beside themselves because can't check their email and can't text, but they're forced to communicate. And she says she loves it. So. You have to be strong with rude people on the telephone, and I would have reported her. Maybe you work there, maybe it's not so good since you're a volunteer, but that's just wrong behavior, to keep you like that, especially if she's being paid and she's on company time. That's just wrong. And it's just like, I thought you should have gotten the bus driver's name that dropped you in a foreign country and let you fend for yourself. I think that guy should have been reported. Anyway, on your this is something, by the way, I want to talk about, because a couple of you have said that you got a bad reaction when you stared too long or you smiled too long, and the communicating respect isn't a long stare, and you got to be careful about that. And especially when you're dealing with psychiatric patients, they're paranoid many times, and they say, "What are you looking at? Why are you looking at me?" Which is what she did. But you were right in maintaining your center and your cool, and saying your mantra. And usually students have reported that sometimes has a calming effect and works out. But sometimes the eye contact can be problematic. Then you had a transition to your third one, which was the ugly. And then you had what you learned. Then you had what you learned, and I thought that you described well what you got out of this, and you had a good tie back. So you did a nice job with just work on some eye contact and some of the things we talked about, but overall a nice job, Jenny. Thank you. What was the time?
3:37.
2:37, perfect. Okay, next. Ooh, let's hope we get you in on this battery. Maybe we need to start a new, let's try, let's see. Let's go for it. What do you think, Brittany?
Do I think of glass?
The red just came up. Usually I can get one more on when I'm on a red, so let's zip through it. Okay, rock and roll. Let's see if we can get through you. So I can. How many more respect speeches are there? One more? Two, three more. Okay. Let's do the 4 more. Okay, let's do this. Let's put a new battery in. This works.